Ladies and gentlemen, Rebecca Taylor.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here and see all you. Some of you write to me. We write back and forth. And I'm so glad to see you and meet some of you that I hadn't met 11 years ago in Winterstadt.
Winterstadt. Yeah.
And so please, if you have any questions afterwards, just ask me. And if I have the answer, I will certainly tell you.
Maybe we can answer a few questions now that people didn't even know that they had.
That's right.
You were very close with these toy designers in the 80s. We talked about Mark Taylor yesterday.
Yeah, I was pretty close to him.
Yes, I remember. We talked about it. And now we should talk about Ted Mayer. Mayer?
Yes.
Mayer. Ted Mayer. And I'm honest, when I read that Ted Mayer is coming, my first reaction was, wait, yes, that ring a bell. And then I wanted to do some research, and he does not even have a Wikipedia entry, at least not the one that I found. Could you maybe, for those people who are just confused as me,
Sure.
2-3 sentences, why are we sitting here? Why are we talking about Ted Mayer at Grayskull Convention?
I don't know if I can do it in 3 sentences because I'm kind of chatty, but I'll try. Ted was Mark's best friend. He's one of my best friends. He's 84, but you wouldn't know it because he's still real active. He does freelance. He still designs things. And he came to Mattel. Mark was there a few months, I think. And a new guy came in. Mark said, hey, I got a new neighbor in the cubicle next to me. His name is Ted Mayer. He's from the UK. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, he's a technical guy. He worked for the car companies and he, that was his thing. I always said, you always have to draw hard things, hard. People not so much, or animals, but boy. Well, he was a product designer. What I guess you'd call him an engineer, really. And it's just really nice. I wish he could have made it. I'm kind of taking his place. Last week we had to take him to the hospital because he got real slow. I said, are you stoned? Because he was really, dragging. It ended up he had a pacemaker. But he wanted me to say hello to all of you and to thank you for being fans of his vehicles. And Mark Mark was doing the vehicles, and Mark was not a vehicle guy. And I kind of said some funny things about one. The one that has the cannon that looks like it's been turned on a lathe. Do you know which one that is? It's got it's like early American furniture or something. Well, anyway, I said, I don't know about that vehicle. He said, the guy next door to me. Hence, they became friends, and they are lifelong friends. And he did the first vehicles. And then, of course, I was doing the stickers, so I did the stickers for all the first vehicles, too. And you would love him. He's so nice.
Let's hope that he can make it one day. Maybe
I hope
next
so.
year. Hope so.
I said next year, and he went, and I said, don't you give me that look.
So, and he bought you a presentation that we...
Yes, he gave me this presentation. We ran through it once. I said, is that what they want? And he said, I think so. So we'll go through it, and if there's stuff in there that is not of interest to you, we'll flash through it quickly.
Yeah. I think maybe you like talking, you like the dialogue. Maybe we just include everybody. We take one slide, we look at it, and if you have a question, just raise your hand and ask in the minute, and then
That's
we
great.
just we're also clever
We're
buddies.
all
We're all having here a little fun looking at Ted Mayer's design. Now, what does it? There we go.
There he is. That's he wasn't that quite. He was the one down at the bottom that says turbo. That's
just a moment. I think
that one.
There we go.
That's about when I met him, and that's a cutaway. And one of them, I think is in the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And when Mark and Ted and I went to the Smithsonian, we were all excited. We were going to go see Ted Mayer's sketch, and they said, rendering by Egon Schleyer. That's what they called him. So we called him Egon for quite a few years. And those are that's a really good grouping of who he was. And he's a jazz musician, I should add that.
So he's basically is an engineer. He designs cars and planes. Or that's what he learned actually. Okay. Let me see.
Seems like all I have in my life is bearded guys.
Nothing wrong with that. So I saw him there standing with at a plane show. He's a flyer. He's a pilot himself.
He loves airplanes because he's from the UK, and so he and he was born in 1940, probably, yeah. And so the whole airplane thing got him, and then he learned how to pilot. He took some lessons, which I don't even ride in the car with him, so there's no way I would ride in a plane with him. But he's a very curious person with a lot of passions, different passions that are foreign to me, like that. And he also makes guitars. He's just very talented.
So would you say that is, you say he's a passionate with this thing. Is that like his personality? That he's...
It's really funny. When I met him, he was very quiet. He's very English, and he's quiet. And I also worked for him at a toy company. We all work for each other. You know how that is. One person works here, and then they quit, and then they go like this. So, and he's a gentle man, but he's funny and so talented. He did this plane right here. This one, it had something to do with World War, with a skunk. It's like our version of Skunk Works. Do you know what that would be? They designed planes, secret planes, torpedoes, and secret stuff, which is funny because Mark worked for the Naval Undersea Warfare Center he was called a combat illustrator. So they kind of were the same age, and it was a perfect marriage.
And you said he is a jazz musician?
Yes.
Jazz guitarist?
Yes, and that's some of the gigs that he was in.
Did he do some recordings too, or is it just
I don't think it's ever recording, because I think the whole business of jazz is to be spontaneous, So I don't think I've ever heard any recordings of his.
Okay.
But he practices all the time. Like when we went on a cruise last year, he takes his guitar and he practices it, an electronic, a little small one that he made. And so you can plug in and listen to him practicing. It's really nice.
What is that?
You know.
In 1977, I was hired by Mattel Toys as a designer to work in their visual design studio. Visual design consists of approximately 20 designers with specialties ranging from illustration, graphics, packaging, and industrial design. It was divided into 3 areas: boy toys, girl toys, and preschool. That's where the story starts. So when they say visual design, my question
We
would
used
be,
to
what
call
are
it VD. Everyone called it VD.
VD, and it's just how things would look like.
Yes. Yeah, for presentations of, getting the people on board, the company on board to want the project, and also like the packaging graphics and like the stickers that I did and the Barbie stuff I did. And so it was no 3D there. No 3D at all.
Lot of hand.
But I have to tell you, the elites, yes.
I'm just curious, when did you guys start to using computers for that?
It's interesting that you would ask that. I don't even think he used one when he was there. Because he left in 1983, maybe?
Okay.
After it launched, after the whole first set of figures launched, I was just going to tell you that VD, and then there was R&D, research and development, and he wanted to go in that. He wanted to go there very badly, and they wouldn't let him go from visual design, and they were paying. When he did Masters of the Universe, they paid him. I remember when he came home to tell me, $17,000 a year. That's what he got for He-Man. So all he wanted was to go to R&D, and it didn't look like they were going to, because R&D was like the elite. First you had Barbie on the Untouchables, and then the R&D was the next, and VD was down here. So he just wanted to go. So they didn't let him move, so he went to Playmates and did Turtles. He did Teenage Mutant Turtles for them. And so then they hired him back. Later, many years later. That's what it looked like there. That's what it looked like in Mattel at the time.
The fun place. That's where the adventure begins. Did you work in such a cubicle
I did.
too?
Yeah.
Is it as bad as the people say it is?
Well, let's see. Are there any Barbie people in here? Well, yeah, you like them? Working there was kind of different, because the women were all princesses. So it was kind of hard. It was very competitive, kind of cutthroat, really. But I was always freelance. I'd go in for like 6 months and then take a week off, and then it was a California law of some sort that you couldn't work. Well, you can't work with. They have policies where you can't work with your spouse, really. So that's what that was about. So I didn't have. I traveled from department to department. Why am I talking about myself? The boys' toys was when he came back and he headed boys' toys. They were really fun, and the fact that they were getting hits after hits after hits after hits, you know, it raised the status in the company, and it was fun. It was like going to college. It really was, because there were no toy designers. I mean, you didn't say, like, I want to be a toy designer when I grow up. It was like learning in college, in an art school, the product. There they are.
Yeah.
The bearded guys.
You know, the one when I saw this picture of Mark the first time, he reminds me a lot of these guys like Jim Henson and Frank,
Really?
these Muppet players. Sort of the same energy in them. And
You know, I met Jim Henson, and he was a pretty active guy. And, you know, I always thought, honestly, when I met him, I was 23. So I thought, oh, my God, this guy is just a whirlwind of activity, doing so much stuff. And I said, I'm going to be really old, and he's going to be wheeling me around, because I'll be tired, and he'll be still like this, because he was like that. And Ted is the opposite. Ted's the layback. He's the layback guy. He was the yin-yang of it.
you should have brought a few of these hats.
That was at Epcot in Florida.
Came
When we go
lifelong.
on trips.
It looks like I had a good life together.
Yeah, they were
Well,
really pals.
good
And that's
friends.
Errol up there in the corner. See the guy in the flowery shirt? That's Errol McCarthy. And Errol McCarthy went to school with Mark to Art Center. And then Mark hired Errol to do freelance for him, and that's how they stayed friends.
And I never lost the fun in life.
No, there he is. There's the guy. There's Torak. I had a friend who's here who helped me get some things down from my garage, and I found the original Torak drawing. And it was eaten by bugs around the edges, and it makes it look really good. You know?
But these are not designs Ted Mayer did. That were
Oh no, it was Mark, and Mark was the engine. I would say this if Mattel was here. The engineers and the engineers mostly, they said, you can't make it like that. You can't make it like that. You can't. I want it to look like it comes out of the ground. He says, like it's growing out of the earth. You can't make it like that. You can't. Well, it happened to be that Mark used to own a foundry, a metal foundry, so he knew about draft on the castings. So he knew you could make it, that there was a way you could make it. So some of the castle, so he sculpted it himself, later taken to sculpting to refine. But some of his secretary's thumbprints are on it. Because everyone would come by and give it a little whack, you know? And I did the stickers for the castle mainly because they cost cut it so bad that when Mark said there's no insides, it's very, very dull in there. And he said, you know, we got to spruce it up because it looks really cheap. And that's where the stickers came in. I'm the queen of cheap, so.
That doesn't come out just the way I want. Should have a pause button here because I would like to see this line up thing, and then it goes away.
I'm sure you've all seen it. I'm
Yes.
sure you've all seen it.
Whatever. So was it the battle ram you were talking about, like the car you mentioned just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was the first one, the first iteration that wasn't produced.
Oh, okay.
Thank goodness, because it was not good. And yes, Mark, I know. Yes, Mark, I know.
So did Mark do these figures, or did he
Yes.
just do the drawings, or did he
Yes.
did the modeling too?
Well, he did it. He did it, but you know, he wasn't a sculptor really. He sculpted well, but they had a big department, you know, and all the guys were really interested in the stuff he was doing. But please remember, he was a package designer, and he was doing packages at the time, and then doing this stuff on the side. So people were starting to get wind. Mostly the men were starting to get wind of it, and they'd come in to see where it was going. It was very exciting. I imagine, yeah.
Did I just get it right that you made the stickers from
Yes.
the castle Grayskull?
And the first, yes.
In the first version which was seen here before, or the version we put...
I think there's only one version. Isn't there? I mean, I only did one version of the stickers that go inside the castle, the carpet.
That's what I wanted to...
Yes. And the first vehicles. Because after that, he left, so I started doing turtles. This is very
Now I
sexy.
think now we're getting closer to that Mayer's workings. Let's see what.
See, he put an edge on the vehicles that, I don't know, they captivated you. And they were so, they weren't being watched, really. They were doing it on their own, so nobody was on their, you know, pushing them or redirecting them, because then you get all kinds of weird things going. It's a lot of marketing people, I don't think were ever children, so they don't remember, you know, they don't remember. But when it got to the TED phase, everything started getting real futuristic, more futuristic, which was weird because, see, you remember the spacesuit in the castle? When I did that, I said, really, a spacesuit in the castle? Why? And he said, just do it.
So it's a control drawing. It says. What is a control drawing in this case?
It's a 3D drawing that shows all the sides. Before computers, and by the way, there was no computers. Everything was by hand then. Even the turtles.
So after that you sculpted, you did like a mock-up, and then it went into production? Or how did it
It goes like this. The idea comes from, like, let's say Mark gets the idea. There's a blank piece of paper. He draws it up. In his mind, he always made a story, because the story helped him go through the invention. Then it goes to, then it goes to sculptors. And they either hit on the right spot or no. and it's up to him to make sure that it's like that. And they do it out of wax.
Okay.
And then that's how they make the prototypes, you know. And so as it's going along, see, more people are going, ooh, I want a piece of that. So there's more opinions, things change, and the vision changes of the artist, you know.
I could imagine that they really, their minds, like with the sculptor, they really have to interlock, because otherwise, if the sculptor gets the idea wrong, everything, you know, like
It's
all the
completely,
proportions go.
it can destroy something
Yeah.
horribly. And see, that's the problem we have when we send toys to be produced in China, because they have their own opinions too. And sometimes when you get the first shots, they're not even close, you know?
Because nowadays you just, you know, make a 3D on a computer. You have maybe a 3D printer, and then, you know, basically, you don't
You're
take
in,
it or a third mind.
no.
To,
Yeah, that's what it's. I mean, it's completely like you're a machine. You're the factory, you know, and that's kind of exciting. And when Mark towards the end of his life, he got really into like ZBrush, is it? And he was so in love with 3D on the computer that he stopped drawing. That was sad, you know. But he said it's my way. Now look at the beautiful drawing on the left there. That's a rendering of Ted's with some eagle shit. That's what they'll call those bright little white spots, because it looks like. And let's see. Yeah, and I have to say, Ted stayed. He didn't. He stayed at Mattel and worked on the other figures that you love, that I don't even know who they are, to be honest with you.
So I'm just looking at the pictures and keeping talking.
Oh, this
I
is
guess-
Mark's. This looks like Mark's writing, but that doesn't look like Mark's drawing down there. It has to be. It
Yeah.
probably is. Not the guy though. That's not Mark's drawing. It's not Mark's drawing.
So where we are. We're doing the Winter Raider prototypes.
There you go. There's the wax. See? And you can carve into it. And he had a favorite sculptor. I'm trying to think. Tony Guerrero. He was Mark's favorite sculptor. He was linked to Mark real well in that he knew that if there was a little question, he could go, I think Mark would want it like this. And Mark said he was always right. So it's really dependent on him too as well. He's gone too, though.
So when we see this now, these are the prototypes. They look vastly different. At least these two. When you see some designs, but then the wings are different, and like these turbines, completely different. I always imagine you got a drawing, and from the drawing you make a sculpt, and from the sculpt you make a model, or something like that.
Yeah.
But now you had so different prototypes.
It is, and the reason you see different prototypes, I mean, is because on a computer you just go click, 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 and you've got the different versions. But in this stage, you had to make the prototypes. So, you know, a lot of this has to do with marketing, like cost cutting. We've got to take that tank off of there. We got to do this. We can't have this. This has, you know, it's all about money because they're a company, and it makes sense. But that's why you have so many of the same thing.
So Ted basically did the drawing of all of the three, and then sculpted
yeah.
it.
He would get with Mark, and Mark would tell him, you know, I kind of like to look like this, and they were linked. So he was always real happy with everything.
Okay. Now here we are.
Now he told me he did a Hordak, and he doesn't usually lie to me. So I guess maybe he did. I'll make sure about that, because you're right. No Wikipedia page, nothing. He's very chill. He's a jazz musician. Very
British jazz musician.
British jazz musician.
So let's see what happens next. Okay, yes. Mark left Mattel approximately 1 year after He-Man hit the toy market. We had been about this yesterday. He went to work for Playmate Toys to help design the Teenage Mutant Turtles to bring it to production. He-Man was a great success, and Mattel was taken by surprise by its success and the success of this new handheld games division. There was a major reorganization, and Mattel was split into divisions based on the toy lines: Barbie, Hot Wheels, Electronics. So the change was they had boy toys, girl toys, preschoolers, and then they split it up to the toy lines.
They took all the people that were and hired people that were more that had the proclivity to do the gaming and and it was Ted. It was made for Ted. It was real technical stuff, and so that was in television. He did in television.
I was put in charge of design of Mattel Electronics, a new division of Mattel focusing on electronic toys. After approximately a year, the new division failed from bad marketing and bad management.
What does that tell you? He says he's managing it, and it was bad management.
Oh, okay.
That's Ted.
I subsequently left a year later, so Mattel hired me back for the He-Man. Yes.
This is, I believe, this is just his sketchbook. Probably ideas that he, proposed. But is this MotU stuff?
That is MotU stuff. Yes, this one got produced. The Fright Fighter. They all other things that look like they are prototypes and never be really
Ideas.
released. Yeah, these are stuff that is released, of course. No, let's go. There. It's really interesting how they change from being like this thing, and then when you see the final product, that's a lot of. How many people? I am a toy designer. I am let's say I am Ted, and I said, you know what? I'd like to have a glider where a figure can stand on and get hold. How many people can have to approve my idea, or maybe can change my idea until the toy is done?
It's open. You're out there. You're just hanging out there. You have to have a champion. And I'll tell you who the champion was for Mark. He, like I said, package designer, doing packages, drawing He-Man and stuff like that on his time when he wasn't working or he was waiting for something. The president, you probably know this story already. The president of Mattel, his name was Ray Wagner. He was walking by Mark's cubicle and went, "Whoa, what is that?" And so he said, "I want all those gathered up and I want them taken to the presentation." And so the marketing people would take the drawings and the ideas and present them. So the champion, so that it always looked like they were the inventors, right? Because you know the story. And so his boss, and I know Ted has a picture of him here. His name was Shell Platt, the packaging guy. He said, "What's going on in here?" And Mark said, "They want to take my drawings to a meeting." And they said, yeah, and they were taking them off and off the wall and everything, and Mark was helping him. And his boss said, "Not without this guy. You don't go to the meeting and present his stuff without him." "Yeah, we don't do that." He said, "Well, you're going to do it this time because that's how it's going to be." So he got to see the meeting. Never say anything or anything because, artists, we can't speak. And but that was the champion, and he championed it all the way through Toy Fair, and it was he saw it. So he must have. You all have a child in you, or you wouldn't be here. You're a grown men in body and form, and women, but inside you, that little person that you were before is still in there. And I think that Ray Wagner, the president, must have sensed that. He actually died at Toy Fair, which is, but really nice. And then it changes. So what you asked me about that, it depends on on the people. You know, it's like you could get something through really fast if no one was looking. But if somebody got into it, they would nitpick it, and it would be, you wouldn't even recognize it. And they started doing that when it got successful. And they started changing his designs. And the last figure he did was Prince Adam. He did it really fast. I think he did it that day that he left. Because I'll leave you with this, you know. And but they changed many, many, many things. And then later, because Mark was very prolific, he had drawings, so many drawings, more than you know. And I've tried to put them on Facebook for you, because I know that he wanted to share this stuff. And so many things were not made. But when he left and it got dry, they started taking all his old stuff. So now they're taking old sketches and they're doing sculpts, different sculptor, different, yeah. And so then they go to China. China would do their thing. So it didn't, in our opinion, it didn't really still have that same flavor. But it didn't really matter, because what mattered is whether you guys liked it or not. That was what mattered. I mean, he was hysterical over Orko, you know. So, and I know all of you, you know, you loved those characters, you loved Filmation stuff, and so it was successful because you loved it. That's what. But they'll do whatever they want. And it depends. You know, they hire some guy that's from the cosmetic company, and he comes in, and now he's telling you how to make this thing look toyetic. You deal with all kinds.
Ted writes, figure sketches, most did not make it to production until I left in 1988.
Exactly.
And, could you say, I see this and I recognize, of course,
Yes.
Snoutspout got produced, Leech got produced, and that turned out to be a King Hiss, I think, with a lot of retooling. How many sketches, how many ideas would you think are presented and then not produced? When you see maybe
A lot.
a lot?
Really a lot. Because you're working all the time, and that's what you're doing. You're sketching, and you're doing the ideas. And you're oh, by the way, when he went back to Mattel, he was the head of R&D. So I had to tell you that part. But, you are sketching all the time. That's your job. It'd be like, I put the little things on zippers all day long, you know? That's your job. So how many are there? Well, as many as you can do. And that's how it was there. But it was so much fun for them, because there were cubicles, and they'd go from cubicle to cubicle to see their buds, you know, like you guys. And it became quite a world. So I'd say lots.
When Mattel they are producing these He-Man figures, of course, until now, and bringing out all the lines, and they produce many figures that just were prototypes. They did this. This Thorak they produced basically as a He-Man figure. And if now somebody from Mattel, he watches our stream, he sees these pictures, and he says, "Oh well, let's do this one as a figure."
Oh, yes, always.
Would they have the rights to do it
Well,
right
you
now?
know, it depends. I know some people that have had a little problem with that, but honestly, the packets. I put together those packets of the sketches of Mark's, and I was very hesitant in a way, because I thought that Mattel would come after me, because where does it end? You know, whose possession is it really? It's part of your portfolio, but it's also, does it belong to them even if they didn't make it? I don't know. So, but they never gave me not one little peep of trouble. And I named them different things, the working names mostly, so you can see that in that packet that they're not the like the War Cat or something like that. It's not Battle Cat. To keep it away from Mattel owning it, this form.
There's Hordak, first prototype. And as I see, there's this Red Dragon got used in another figure a few years later. So I think they just they mixed some of the things up for others. Yes. come on.
So, when can you show and when can you not show? It's your work. I mean, a musician goes for you've got to show your work. So, yeah, I kind of suspected that a lot of the things that I put on of Mark's stuff that wasn't really made could just be ripped off. But I don't know about you, but I borrow things all the time. I got my own AI going, because we don't invent every single thing. And, and it's I think it's fair game.
We were just looking at the pictures. We all know how it came out a few years later. Fascinating what the idea was and what came
And they
out of
still
it.
talk. They still talk during this time. He was at Turtles and Ted was working on here. So there were a lot of stories, that he could tell where it was going. A lot of people got promoted and very good raises from this project. And good for them. Not my husband, he didn't, but he got to do Turtles and he liked that, so it was good.
You were talking about the drawings from Mark you brought with you. We had a talk yesterday. Who was here yesterday? Not so many. Cool. Then we can do the surprise again. Rebecca brought prints of the original sketches of Mark Taylor. And she said they need to be in the hands of the fans.
That's the way Mark always
And,
wanted.
We agreed on doing this, so we are giving it out for free. So,
I hope I have enough. I hope we have enough. Do we?
what?
I hope we have enough.
Yeah, I think yes. So, do a few more minutes, then this lovely, handsome English guy with pants will be, yeah. And if that one is gone, we take this one. And when he's done his presentation, we will have a line up here, and you can help yourself with the copies you want, as long as you promise not to put them on eBay for $100. Then I think you would. I think I can imagine what Mark would say.
Mark would say, "Give it to him," because because it was for you. It was a self-fulfilling dream to work on something that you love, but then when kids really loved it and were trying to steal it, well, that's a winner right there, and it gave him a lot of joy. I don't know, maybe you've heard me say this, but we went to Toys R Us once when it first came out. Now, he's working at Playmates, and some little kid was on the floor crying and doing this because his mother wouldn't buy him the 2-pack, and crying and beating his, and Mark said, "I know this is really bad, but I kind of liked it."
We've seen this one. Bill George. Yes, he did
Bill
this.
George.
You know him too?
I did, yeah. He passed.
Oh, okay.
We're all old. We got to go.
Yeah, there are some designs.
See that slick stuff, that slick industrial design. That's what he is. He's an industrial designer.
It's possible to start from there. Yes, maybe I should do it right. I'm not an industrial designer. You see, I'm struggling with presentations.
I sure hope he comes next year so you can meet him. You'll have a good time knowing him. Okay, you know that car right there? That's a Lotus. And let me tell you, I called it Lotus in a Basket because it was yellow and it had a sunroof and it had a different well, okay, so I go to see his new car and it's in boxes in the garage. There's no car. It's all, he's taken every single thing apart. It had a sky thing, with a sunroof. He closed the sunroof. I said to his wife, if it didn't have one, he would have had one put in. And she goes, oh, yeah, of course. It always has to be, like this. And he every detail on this car. And then he sold it on eBay Motors to some guy in another country with eagle shit on it. The rendering had eagle shit on it. And he hated the car so much. It was really hot because the engine's right here, and it got really hot in there. So he probably drove it not hardly at all.
So you want to say more of him? You can go to tedmayer.com, and I think there will be a lot of his examples where he did what he worked on, and let's hope that next year he might be here.
I hope so.
Yes.
Yeah, and please, that means write to him if you want. If you have questions about the vehicles or any of the other things that he did, he'd be happy to hear from you.
So, any last questions? You left them speechless.
It's because I talk so much. There's no time for them.
So then, thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we will prepare the drawings of Mark after James Etock is done with his.
Oh, is that the handsome English?
That's the handsome English. Yes, I'm astonished as you are.
No, I think so.
Yes, after his presentation, you can come here and you can pick up whatever you want. Enjoy it as a gift from Mark Taylor.